遇见有趣的灵魂，活出真实的自己。大家好，欢迎来到谈心社，让我们一起谈心、谈情、谈音乐。Welcome to Generous Talk, an intercultural conversation on music, health, and lifestyle. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, this is Xingyu, and here we have
Timothy Cole. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, this is our first literature uncover series of this season, and this is our new type of episode that we're going to share with you the research we love and discuss how we might apply into our life, and hope you all get some takeaway and insights into your life. So what are we gonna cover today, Tim?
Oh, today we are excited to talk about the Mozart Effect, which most of you probably already know about that. It's pretty popular, it's very famous, and there was a big Mozart Effect craze in the 90s.
20, 30 years ago. So does listening to Mozart actually make you smarter? Is it the path to true genius?
And, why Mozart? Why not Bach or Vivaldi, or even, Xing, you mentioned even Jacob Collier, who is the modern day Mozart.
Yes, because I wonder about what's the reasoning behind the choice of Mozart's music. Is it because we listen to a music created by genius that make us a genius? Probably not. But what if that's the selection criteria?
Right. Well, that's what we kind of want to dive into today, to just explore that whole idea of the Mozart effect and music in general as a catalyst to enhance intelligence.
Yes.
So without further ado, how about we just get into it then?
Yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and share some parts of the research we're gonna cover today that I love about. So what's the name of the research paper, Tim?
So the name of the research paper is The Mozart Effect and Academic Achievement, and it's from the Dnipro State Medical University. And it's a meta-analysis of international publications from the past 5 years. So that's about 2017 to 2022.
Really fresh out of the oven, right?
And for anybody who doesn't know what a meta-analysis is, that's basically a study of studies. So what they did in this publication is they basically took around, I think they went through about 111 publications, right, of relating to music listening specifically, and also music listening and kind of that effect of Mozart, that Mozart effect, right? And took 111 publications that are related to that, and then chose about 19 of those to actually use within this study to kind of get to the core of what is the Mozart effect and kind of why was it such a big deal, and kind of what are the good points about it and what are the points that really aren't supported,
Okay, so what do you like most about this study?
Well, there are a few different things. What I really enjoy in this study is that they really tout the benefits of music. They went through a few different studies, and it seems that each of these studies, despite all their different results and different methods of research, they all tout the benefits of music in general for emotional regulation, which I think is a really important point.
Yes.
That they all made, that music is so important for emotional regulation. So that was the biggest thing for me. So I went through and a few of I looked at about 3 of the studies that they included in detail. One is a Malaysian study, and the Malaysian study, they found that calm instrumental music, the classical music, had a positive effect on student concentration. And hard rock, they said hard rock and other aggressive styles were distracting. And I thought that was an interesting find that they found that they specifically focused on like calm, classical music as being as being like the standard for having that positive effect on concentration, right? And I just kind of wonder about that because, nowadays, as music therapists, we know that the more recent research shows that the importance in how stimulating music is for a person is in their personal preference, right? Yeah, exactly. Additionally, there was another study that found lyrics. I believe this was the Fujian Catholic University, that's in China, and they found that lyrics negatively impact concentration while instrumental music supports concentration, and that's kind of a given, I think. When your brain is having to compete, when 2 language processes are having to compete, lyrics versus like studying and trying to read, obviously, that's going to cause some issues with concentration. That's 2 similar functions going on in the brain.
You have to concentrate on 2 things at the same time. Well, that's hard to concentrate.
Exactly. If it were 2 different functions, language and then something else, then of course the brain, for the most part can handle that.
Yeah, like movement and music. That's totally goes synced together.
Exactly. And then another study that caught my eye was the Freie University of Berlin, and I might be butchering that name. I'm so sorry about that.
But if you are interested to read the whole research paper, join our Patreon community because we're gonna share all of the literature we covered in the Patreon community.
Shameless plug. So we found that in the Freie University of Berlin, the study that they produced, they said that sad and neutral music makes decision making more deliberate and balanced, while cheerful music, isn't that right? While cheerful music made decisions more rash and risky. And this was all when having a person choose like a lottery ticket, right? A lottery number.
So now people know how to manipulate people's behavior, right? Because they're using marketing. But
I think just in that. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
But we using therapy.
Yes. And I think there's a lot to unpack just in that right there. Because that's really going towards music affecting your emotional state, right? And then your emotional state affecting your decision making.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, absolutely. We know this when we feel really excited or when we feel, fear, our decision making is very much skewed.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing these like 3 research paper, and for me 3 research paper they covered in the research. So what I love, in addition to like how they have listed all those significant research, I think it's like milestone of as human being to understand how music, this phenomenon impact us as a species. And I love is that they are focusing, like the reason they do research and they are trying to implement the music therapy program to college, specifically in doctor training. to improve the quality of the training for the future doctor. I think this is very important and in an area that's like create a big impact. And there are some results I would like to share. Is they find that students participating in collective music therapy program, which like they create program that students attend in a group together, they find they spend less time on tasks which both at home and during exam because their increased ability to concentrate. And they also find it increased, like by participating in those programs, increase students' academic achievement in the educational process by 20%. Like that's a huge number. And they also miss class significantly less often and have fewer academic debts. So these are about the academic, and they also find the student experience improvement in the quality of sleep and a decrease in the manifestation of psychological stress. Like, and so these are the effects students experience in this group, like the collective program. And there are programs, they also, in addition to collective one, they provide individual programs, music psychotherapy. And I find those students who are participants of the individual music psychotherapy perform even better in those areas.
Okay. Well, that's a heck of a finding. And that's the Queensland School of Psychology, right? The Queensland University study in Australia.
Yes, Queensland. University of Queensland. Yeah. And I feel really resonant with that is because I have been invited to creating some music therapy program and training for students in higher education here in China. And in the daily work, we see it, like as music therapists, we experience those things. We witness, we track the progress of the students, the clients we work with, whether it's in group or individually. And I love this research kind of summarize all those and like show you like, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 19 study, like a collective all those results. So at the end of research, this research paper, like there's no doubt, let's implement new type programs in education.
Okay. So, do you have any more points?
No.
Okay. So very nice. Well, thank you. So then the question really becomes, how does this all tie into the Mozart effect, right? So the Mozart effect refers to an improvement in visuospatial thinking. The test scores, this was a study in 1993 where participants in this research study displayed, what was it? It's like a 10 to 15 minute improvement in visuospatial thinking.
Yeah. Spatial, let's see. Spatial task performance.
Right.
That's the original research. Yeah.
And then that's after listening to Mozart. Do you remember exactly which sonata it was?
Good question. See, that's how we just summarize one specific piece of music into Mozart music, right?
Exactly. Mozart is very broad, right?
Yeah. Like it says I'm opening the original research. It's Mozart sonata. It just says Mozart sonata.
And so that means nothing, to us because both of us have experience with the classical music, right? So we're like, okay, which Mozart sonata?
Let me see. Okay. Listening to Mozart K448. So
Okay,
that was
okay.
the piece of music that was used specifically in
There we go.
the earliest research on Mozart Effect. Then that becomes like Mozart Effect, right? Mozart wrote so many
Right.
different pieces, and each pieces has different melody, form, structure, like the emotion that evokes are drastically different. So we can say like in one research, we use this specific one piece of music composed by Mozart, and then say all Mozart's composition has this effect. I think that's what's the popular culture and trying to like
Right.
sell, right? I know then there are a lot of, I understand why it becomes such a hype, because the motivation behind trying to use that one of specific research, but like exaggerating the result. I think we see in a lot of those marketing campaign that when they're trying to sell something, and they often use so in this case it's exaggerating the impact, and there are also other research that in the scientific literature we see it's about correlation. They find A correlate with B, but then when it's kind of getting to the translate quote unquote into the popular culture, it becomes, oh, A cause B, so therefore we need to do more A or limit A to change impact B. But when we go trace back to those original research, we see no, it's just correlation. It doesn't mean anything. It means we need further investigation to see what actually is impacting. Maybe sometimes it's C impacting both A and B. So that's the reason why we also want to do literature uncovers to kind of,
And as we know,
yeah,
exactly. And as we know, in the scientific world, correlation does not necessarily mean causation, especially when it comes to the brain. The brain is still so mysterious for us. So we can't assume just because there's a correlation that something is the cause. It just means that they just kind of pair together. But which one causes, which is it A to B or is it B to A, right? So,
or
so it's
C
really
to A to B.
C to A, right? We just know that they're correlated, and that's all we can say, right?
Yeah.
Without further study, right? So with the Mozart effect, and with the sonata that they chose, it kind of wants me to, it brings me back to that University of Berlin study where they found that sad, and then here's the thing, / neutral music makes decision making more deliberate. So it makes me think that, I guess, neutral, when they say neutral, maybe meaning you have no really emotional response to it, right?
Or
In
like
that
maybe
case,
previous experience associated with it.
Yeah, could be no previous experience. So, but I get the feeling because they're specifically naming, sad versus like cheerful. I think it's like the emotional response that it evoked. So if it's not evoking such an emotional response at all, then it's just an external auditory stimulus that might be in training the brain to this like kind of flow state, this calm state, right? In which case that is the best state for deliberate decision making, right? So it does it now it's just like it's making my the wheels on this bus are like going round and round. The wheels and the bus of my head. I mean,
what is it? What are you like thinking?
So it's just it's definitely making me think that then with the Mozart effects, for someone who has absolutely no no attachment, to Mozart or classical music in general, maybe they wouldn't feel any specific emotion tied to it. It's not their preferred music, but maybe it does give that benefit. Maybe for that very reason, it gives that benefit of deliberate decision making specifically. Now, that's not necessarily an improvement in visual spatial reasoning. That's different, right? But to evoke that calm emotional state for deliberate decision making, I think is still valuable, and maybe that's a benefit of music that is not preferred, right? Isn't that something I would love to see a study about that? About non-preferred music.
And that's the tricky of like the research in the field also, because personal experience is like our brain's complex and our whole person is very complex being, and to kind of decode to decode and clarify your music preference itself, I find it's a very deliberate process itself, and sometimes like we are peeling out like layers and layers, because music gets into our unconscious mind, and sometimes as the person we cannot know, cannot be conscious about all our music experience and our association with music. But yeah, it will be interesting to see like research how to decode all the things and actually finding out what you are curious about. Yeah.
and I think we can safely say that it all really comes down to whether or not the music is going to influence your performance at all. Is what is your emotional reaction to the music, right? That's going to determine how it influences your performance, right? So I think it all comes down to the emotional state that the music evokes.
Yeah, and that plays to like our awareness of our feelings, plays into emotional literacy. I think that's the important part of it. And I think that's what in the training the University of Queensland giving to their college students, like a big part of it is teaching the students the skills to become aware their response to the music, and then starting putting together the type of music they want to evoke certain emotion they want at a certain time. That's like in immunotherapy, we often work with clients to help them to define that, and maybe taking the form of a emotion playlist, music playlist. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
The back to our topic, like at the beginning, is like, does Mozart make you smarter? Does listening to Mozart music make smarter? We're like, and not really. It's depending on a lot of the factors. And does listening music make you smarter? Well, if you pick the certain type of music that's fit into the certain type of emotion you want to evoke. But there is, instead of listening to music, there a lot of research talk about how play music does make you smarter, does increase your IQ, and I think we can definitely talk about that in the future episode. What do you think?
Absolutely. So so Xingyu's point is that the formal musical training absolutely does increase your IQ rather than just listening to music. Now, I will say, I want to say that I think that listening to certain types of music, like we said, depending on the emotional state that it evokes, can bring out a certain potential within a short span of time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, a short period. But the formal musical training, again, we can say that it actually increases your intelligence because it's a long-term result.
Yes. And it literally changes your brain structure. Okay, so leave a leave a
No,
comment
go ahead, go
below.
ahead.
Leave a comment below if you want to hear that topic and any specific situation you might want be implement music in it, and we'll look at that and consider it for the future episode.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So please follow Generous Talk on Instagram, on TikTok, and please, if you're interested in really engaging with us and becoming really a part of the community, making suggestions, communicating with like other community members, then please follow or subscribe to our Patreon.
Yes.
Consider subscribing and
Uh-huh.
supporting so we can continue to have these wonderful talks with everyone. And again, feel free to leave a comment so that we can know what you guys really want to hear and learn about more and hear our opinions of as music therapists.
Yes, and you
All
get
right.
to read all the research paper we share in the literature review, literature uncovered in the Patreon community. So,
all right. So thank you so much for listening and watching. All right, everybody. So until next time.
play more music.
感谢你的收听，我们下一期不见不散。